Can this powerful mind trick change kids' behavior for good?
I'm Vicki Jenkins, a speech-language pathologist.
And I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins, a clinical psychologist, and back in graduate school, I learned this mind trick. It's absolutely powerful when it's applied correctly.
So the other day I was watching this video. It was so funny to me. There was a grandma who wanted to do some cooking with her little grandson. And he was maybe two or three. And it was so funny because as she would crack the eggs in, he would just dive into the bowl and take bites. And she's like, no, no. And then she put in the flour and he's eating that. And she put in everything. He was constantly into that bowl. And she was constantly trying to manage that.
This video is hard to watch.
It's hilarious though.
As a parent.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny too because this little guy is just loving it and getting both arms literally into the mix.
Elbow deep.
And this is sugar? Oh, I want some of that. And he'd shove it in his mouth. Grandma was visibly a little frustrated, having a hard time directing things. And the reason I think that's such a fun video, Vicki, or one of the reasons, is because we as parents sometimes have a problem with something that our kids don't seem to be bothered by at all.
Exactly.
And that's where we get to start with this particular mind trick, because someone is bothered. And whoever is bothered is the one who has the problem.
They're the owner.
Once we know who owns the problem, we can get clear about who's going to solve it. Because I'll give you a hint. The person who doesn't own the problem,
they're not interested in solving anything.
Not going to solve. That little 3-year-old boy,
he was happy to have full access to all the sugar and of the day and the butter.
The person who owns the problem is the person who's paying the cost, the person who's bothered, the person who is the most motivated now to fix it. So this mind trick has to do with shifting the cost back over to somebody else.
Right.
Back in graduate school, they gave us a label for that. It's called response cost, and this comes from behavioral psychology, and when it's properly applied, it's really powerful. I'm going to walk you through all of the steps of response cost. Before I do that, take a moment to hit that subscribe button right down there and then hit the notification bell. That way you will not be left out of anything that we're sharing to empower you as a parent.
Okay, response cost. You know, I've taken a lot of classes and courses over my education as well, and sometimes it's a little hard to keep everything clear. Let's talk about what response cost is and make it easy for us to remember.
So start with a parking ticket.
Okay.
All right? If my behavior is that I park in a place where I wasn't supposed to be, there's a cost for that. I get a parking ticket and then I have to pay money.
Right.
Okay, so there's a cost to me for the response. That's all you need to remember about the title.
Right.
But let's look at how this works practically. Let's say you have a young child who thinks it's really funny to say potty words.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Every little child, right?
You've got it, you know, and they think it's funny, and their brothers and sisters are laughing at them when they say it because it's so cute.
And when we say don't say it, we're actually giving it more worth, right? So we're going to try response cost instead.
Right. We're attaching a cost to that response.
Okay.
Right now they're getting paid for it because their siblings are laughing at them.
Right.
Or they're getting attention. So using the potty words as an example, let's say that little Lindsay is learning some words that you don't want her to keep repeating. Okay, so we get a Ziploc bag. You know those, the ones that seal up at the top. You put her name across it in permanent marker, Lindsay. Because then she sees that and she knows it's hers.
Right.
Okay, we're talking about ownership as well. And you put inside of the bag 10 things that Lindsay really likes. This might be candy, gum, stickers, tokens, money. You put it in the bag and so she can see it in there. It's hers. Now, here's how we set it up with Lindsay. Lindsay, you know those words we've been working on that really bother Mommy?
You come in with, I'm not going to nag you about saying those words anymore. You know what our kind of family policy is about respectful language, and so I'm not going to nag you anymore. Here's this little treat bag. Isn't this great? This is yours. You get all of these in here. or however many are left. So at such and such a time, and you're going to pick that up and you're going to say, you get everything that's left in this bag. However, if I hear one of those potty words, I'm just going to take one out and it's now mine. But no problem, because you're in charge of the words you use.
Ooh.
You can have all of those treats or none of them. It's up to you, and it's okay with me.
Now you get everything that's left tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Right. So put a time so they know when they get to
Yeah.
enjoy their treat, and it truly is their treat.
So how do you handle this now when the potty words come out? Mm-hmm. We're changing the reaction. It's simply a response cost. So
We're going to warn you. You're still going to want to say, don't say that. Oh, I'm taking this because you're saying that word. That takes all the power out of the response cost. So you simply, they say the potty word, you go in, make sure it's visible. They see you. You take it out. I don't know, eat it, put it in your pocket, whatever you got to do, right?
well, because it's yours now.
Mm-hmm, it's
it's
mine.
no longer theirs. It was a cost for that response.
And put no judgment or shame or anything. Do this as
That part is really
unemotionally
important.
as you absolutely can. That's really key for this too. Because if you're upset, now suddenly you've taken control again. We want them to kind of, it needs to become their problem. So if you're still upset, I told you if you said those words, you were going to lose something. Now it's your problem because you are the one who's really upset about it. So very unemotionally, and now you get to let them deal with it.
Now they're not going to be happy.
No, you might see a little storm.
Little Lindsay is going to think,
That's not fair. You said those were mine.
right, but it's simply a cost.
Right.
And approach this with empathy. Vicki, I love what you were saying about detaching some of the emotion from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business transaction. Oh, you wanted to purchase a potty word. Okay. And you reach in and you take, and you honor her choice.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it with empathy. Not I told you so. Empathy. Because she's going to be upset. Oh, sweetie, you're upset about losing that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. You still got some left. And you can say that as often as you can afford. Okay, and that way we're slipping in some real life learning. Let me give you another example about how you could do this. I had a mom just this week in one of our parent coaching groups who had a son, 13 years old, who was totally deaf to her voice. I don't know if you've experienced this with your teenagers. Deaf, couldn't hear her. At least that's what it appeared to mom. So she would say his name, he would ignore her. Finally, by the third or fourth time, he would indignantly say, I heard you the first time. But mom couldn't tell.
Right.
We can use this in that case as well. You put the 10 things that Josh, in this case, likes. You put those in the bag. You say, hey, I'm not going to nag you. I'm just doing an experiment. And I like to call it that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just doing an experiment to see if I need to schedule an appointment with an audiologist to have your ears checked. I don't know. So I'm just testing, okay? And when I say your name, if you respond respectfully, I'll know that you can hear me. If you don't, I'll simply take one of these as payment for my effort, and I'll ask you again. Now you get everything that's left at 5 o'clock. And I like to throw this part in. Any questions? I throw that in because some kids that haven't worked with me before, they have this deplorable lack of curiosity and they don't ask any questions. But kids who have worked with me for a while, they're like,
so what you're saying?
wait. So what happens if, and they ask better questions.
Right.
But throw that in. Any questions? And then we're detaching emotionally, simply putting a cost on the response. That's what response cost is. Hopefully you found some of these tips helpful. There are certain things we need to know as parents. This next video will give you 5 powerful secrets that every parent needs to know about teaching children responsibility. Cue that one up next.